You're listening to the Infinite Banking Mastery Podcast. Did you know that you could build a tax-free pool of wealth that's liquid and accessible all your life while building your retirement nest egg? Gain full control of your financial future and stop relying on the government and banks. The wealthy have already discovered this wealth-building secret. Now it's your turn to get financially secure without following the conventional wisdom that keeps you in debt to banks. Now here's your host, Valerie LaRocque.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Infinite Banking Mastery Podcast. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening in. Today, I wanted to talk about something super important that you really should do right away. You should do it today, as soon as possible. And that is get life insurance coverage. I know, shocking statement from me, I'm sure. And I could say the same thing about disability coverage. Both are so important to lock in. Today, I'm just going to stay focused on life insurance coverage, but I just can't stress enough how important it is to lock the coverage in, whether you're on the fence about starting a policy to use for the infinite banking concept, or whether you aren't sure what you can afford or what type of coverage you should get. Are you ready to start the whole life policy and infinite banking system now? Or, what kind of coverage, how much do you need? No matter where you are in that process, it's really very important for you to just get the coverage now, especially if you have a family, if you have someone depending on your income, a spouse, children, somebody that's just depending on your income. It's so important to lock it in. And the reason why I decided to do a podcast on this is because I've just had too many things happen recently in my life with people that I absolutely love and adore who have become uninsurable. And it has been so terrible, scary things that have happened. And it makes me so sad that we didn't lock the coverage in yet. As far as I know, they don't have any coverage. It just is outright terrible. So I'm going to tell a few of these stories today just to help you understand how out of the blue something can happen. And I know everybody thinks it's not going to happen to me. Like, I'm in good health. I do everything right. I'm very careful. And people just think it's not going to happen to them. But the fact is, you just never know. You never know what's going to happen. What's going to happen tomorrow? Only God knows. Nobody knows. And so it's important to just be prepared, be protected. And like I've said many times in the past, if you only can lock in term insurance right now, or if you aren't sure about being ready to start the infinite banking concept, you can start just a term insurance policy right now, because that can be converted when you're ready, when your budget increases, when you've decided you're ready to begin a whole life policy. All that can be started and you can convert that over whenever you're feeling ready. But at least you will have already had the coverage locked in at your current health rating with the ability to convert it with no health underwriting. That's the most important thing, because something could come up in the next year, the next month, the next day, where now you can't get the insurance at all and maybe never again. Sometimes you can have a health condition come up, even cancer, something that can come up in life where you have to go through this miserable treatment phase and all of that, and you still can be insured. You can become insurable again in the future, but usually at least 5 years has to pass. It really depends on like the stage of cancer you had, or how bad your illness was, or what the treatment was like. The underwriter's going to want to know all of that. So sometimes it's possible to become insurable again later after a major illness that you went through. But why risk it? Just lock it in today, because even so, if you're able to get that policy later on in the future, your rating's probably not going to be super great because you still went through that in your life. Maybe it will be possible to still get an average health rating, but if you lock it in before these catastrophic things happen, it's possible you can have a preferred rating. And then even though then you might get sick from something and go through this treatment time or time where you're trying to get well again, you'll be able to retain that preferred rating and then convert later into whole life when you're ready. So one thing that's happened recently, we have a loved one who just got married a few years ago, has 2 beautiful children, and she's beautiful and a wonderful marriage, and they love to go out and do fun things. They like to go out and be in nature and do all these fun things. Well, her spouse was out snowmobiling with some friends and got into a snowmobile accident. I think he hit an embankment or something, or went off of an embankment. Anyhow, he ended up in the hospital. He was in bad shape, but alive for a few weeks. So they were encouraged. And I thought, okay, he's going to be okay. He even was able to speak for a little bit. And then all of a sudden, gone. And it is just so devastating, especially to me being in this industry, having not had a chance to help that family before something catastrophic like this happened. We had even had conversations about it before. I'd had conversations with the husband about it before, and yet he just wasn't ready to move forward, didn't want to continue the conversation. So it just makes me feel so terrible when something like that happens. And I wasn't able to help them. And I tried and it didn't happen. And now the family, it has to struggle in a time of tragedy, in a time of sadness. The couple had a business and now she's left having to figure it out and run it and do it all herself in a time of tragedy when she really just wants to have time to mourn. And so that's one thing that death benefit will allow for you or for the survivor is the ability to mourn the loss and not have to rush right out and get to work and figure out how to continue that income so that you can maintain your home and your car and your food and taking care of your children. It allows you that time to grieve. And especially if you have a business and now the business, maybe you were no part of running it. Maybe your spouse was the one running everything and then the spouse passes and you don't have any idea what to do. You don't want to have to sell your business in a fire sale. That's not going to be good. You're going to end up probably selling it for less money than it's worth. It's going to be much better if you have that death benefit to protect you so that you then have time to figure it out, to wait for the right buyer or to get through that whole process. The even sadder part about this family and this gentleman who passed away is that he wasn't even 30 years old yet. I mean, how sad is that? Just crushing to the family. Another thing that happened somewhat recently that we discovered is that another friend of ours, some other person that we adore, recently discovered that they had a brain tumor. Oh my gosh, another young person dealing with this scary thing ahead of them now. And it sounds like, it's maybe one of the better versions of a brain tumor, but still always scary when you're dealing with something like that. And so now most likely that person is uninsurable. You just never know when you're going to get some bad news from the doctor. It just can be so devastating and uprooting to your whole life. And the last thing you want to worry about is, are those people left in your life? Are they covered? Are they protected? And in addition, of course, there's those other benefits that if something that you have like that causes, triggers you to be able to access your critical illness rider, then you'd be able to access up to 25% of the death benefit to help pay for hospital costs, medical costs, or whatever else is going on in your life, which would just be helpful and put less stress on you and your household in a time of scariness, in a time of being worried about what's going to happen in the future. It's helpful not to have additional stress from how am I going to pay for this? Now we have these large bills. How are we going to cover that? Or having to take away from something else because now you have to cover these large medical bills. So it's nice to be able to have that to lean on. In addition, if something was to cause you to trigger the long-term care benefit of a whole life policy, now you can afford some home care. Maybe you need that for a period of time, and then maybe you'll heal and be okay again. But at least you have that benefit to fall back on if you were to need it at some point in your future from an illness or from whatever it is that might cause you to be unable to perform 2 of the 6 activities of daily living. It's just nice to have these basically safety nets. In addition to these 2 things that have just been on my mind lately and on my heart, I just have seen things, on Facebook or whatever social media you're scrolling, friends and family and people going through cancer treatments or other things. It's just heartbreaking to me. And I just wish that I would have been able to help them beforehand or that they had that help from somebody beforehand just to help them out in that time of need. The last thing you want to depend on is a GoFundMe account or someone putting up a GoFundMe account for you. I mean, yes, you can bring in money that way, and I know it's helpful to those people. Of course it is at that time. But it would be so much better to have a sizable amount of cash that you could have access to, whether it's from an illness and you can access your policy or from the passing of a loved one, and just take care of it and not have to go out and ask and try to get money from people that you know and probably not get anywhere near enough what you actually need. In the past, I've helped people who have become uninsurable while they're in underwriting. Both were young people under the age of 40. And so one person we were good to go. We had signed applications. They were with the underwriter, then went to a doctor's appointment and found out there was a tumor behind their ear. That was very sad, very devastating. The person's okay, so it's all good. But still, it was disruptive. Then they were uninsurable and all of that. We didn't end up working with them after that. So I don't know. Hopefully the person did get coverage. There's another friend of mine who was going into underwriting and then in the midst of it discovered that she had some sort of neurological or nerve problem where it was affecting movement and different things. And so didn't get through underwriting, could not lock in that disability coverage before the disability occurred. Pretty devastating. So I just want to get the sense of urgency out there for you to look into it while you can, because when you need the coverage, that's when you cannot get the coverage. I've had people approach and ask me, oh, can I look into disability coverage? We really could use it. Well, of course, you're not going to get it now that you actually need it. The underwriters are definitely going to say no. Even if you have or you go through something for, say, disability, and you have had back surgery or you see the chiropractor all the time for your back, or something you've been going on with your knee, those things will very likely be excluded, almost guaranteed to be excluded. And sometimes that turns people off. Like, well, that's what my disability is going to come from is my back or my knee. So I might as well not get the coverage now. But let me tell you, there is a world of injury, a world of illness and sickness and all kinds of things that could still come to your door and cause you to become disabled. It's not necessarily going to only be your back. I know it's a bummer when they tell you they're going to exclude your back or something that you already know or feel may be the thing to cause a disability for you. But it's still very worth it to lock that coverage in because it can be so many other things. And then oftentimes in your future, you can have that exclusion dropped. It's very possible. Your back starts doing better. Your knee starts doing better. It's very possible to have that exclusion dropped off of your policy in the future. When it comes to life insurance, there's no exclusions like that are made. However, if you end up with a health rating that is not what you would hope it would be, maybe an average health rating or lower than average, and you really think you should have come back preferred, well, there's still hope for you. You can definitely be preferred in a future time. I would say, again, lock in the coverage because you've been approved. And then once a year has gone by, you can go through the health underwriting portion again to try for a healthier rating. And if you don't end up acquiring that healthier rating, maybe you're the same or maybe your health is worse, you would still retain the rating you already had. They can't take that away from you. But it is possible to qualify for a better health rating, and then the pricing would be adjusted accordingly. But again, a lot of people will want to wait. They'll say, well, I'm going to get healthy. I'm going to lose weight. I'm going to do all these things to be in a better position for the health insurance underwriting. But I would say that's not the way to go, because by the time you get through that, and it may not be as quick as you thought or you hoped, you may become uninsurable by something surprising that all of a sudden rears its head. Much better to just lock the coverage in and in the future, try to get that rating changed to something healthier. If you're actively trying to get your rating up, which of course is a great goal, because if you have a bad health rating, that means the insurance company doesn't think that you have a strong outlook for a long life. And so you want the insurance company to give you that better health rating. That means that they have faith and confidence that you will live a longer life. And I certainly don't mean to rain on anyone's parade with this sad topic of what can happen. And people that I know of things have happened unexpectedly in their lives. I don't want to rain on your parade, but if there's one thing that's guaranteed in life, it's death. So the question becomes, how do you want to leave those that you're leaving behind? How do you want to show those you leave behind that you love them and care for them and want them to be okay in a time of incredible tragedy? So if after hearing this podcast, you realize, I really do need to do something. I really do just need to lock some coverage in place. Whether you're ready to build your own banking system or not, if you're just simply feeling ready to lock in some life insurance coverage or some disability coverage, or you just want to talk to someone about how can you get that started? What does it look like? If you would like to work on this, if you'd like to partner with me, I'd be happy to help you lock in that coverage. I'd be happy to help you when you're ready to begin an infinite banking policy or to convert your term when you're ready. just reach out to me at Valerie@alphaomegawealth.com. I would love to meet you and I'd love to help you. On that note, I hope you have a wonderful week. Hope this wasn't too depressing. I'm sure it was a little bit sad, but I hope that you have a great week and I will look forward to talking to you next time. Take care.
This is the podcastfactory.com.